Welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders, a weekly talk show with local and national thought leaders on issues impacting the Black community. Now introducing our host, Ms. Anne Marie Sorrell.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders. I am your host, Anne Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy afternoon to join us as we sit down with one of my favorite people in government. But before we introduce our guest today, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Broward Health and the Florida Lottery, for making this broadcast possible. So I'd like to now welcome a very special guest. He works behind the scenes tirelessly for small businesses in Broward County and beyond. And it's not too often that we get this sit down with him to talk about all the great things that he does. So welcome, Mr. Sandy Michael McDonald, Director of the Office of Economic and Small Business Development in Broward County.
Hey, Anne Marie, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. I know it's not an easy task getting you to to be out front about the great work you do, but I really want us to be able to highlight all the amazing projects and upcoming opportunities so businesses can really take advantage of what you do in Broward County. So for those of our guests who don't know you, Sandy, I am going to just read your brief bio and then we're going to get right into our discussion.
Okay.
Okay. So Sandy, the background noise?
Is that me?
I'm not sure. Let me check my sound a little bit. I'll turn down. I might be too loud. Is that better?
Mic check.
I hear you fine.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Sandy McDonald has been the director of the Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development since June 2013. In alignment with OESBD's mission to stimulate economic development, Mr. McDonald is committed to supporting the growth and development of small businesses in Broward County, which are a great asset to our local economy. Mr. McDonald also serves as Broward's designated Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Liaison Officer, DBELO, and works to support the county's commitment to the Federal Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, DBE, and Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, ACDBE, programs, and OESBD, a lot of acronyms here, administers along with the county's small business program. For the past 19 years, Mr. McDonald has worked in community and economic development on both local and federal programs. His expertise includes initiating tax increment financing programs, providing supportive economic development services to local municipalities, brownfield redevelopment, small, minority, and women-owned business development, and creating, monitoring, and enforcing disadvantaged business enterprise opportunities. So again, welcome.
Hey, Emily.
That was a mouthful. So let's get right to it. Tell us about the role your office plays in economic development.
So again, thanks for having me this afternoon. The role my office plays in economic development, I would have to say similarly, the role we're attempting to play with the 31 cities in Broward is to assure that as a government, we recognize that business, specifically small business, are true economic engines. In terms of economic development, when you're talking about sustaining, attracting, and growing existing business, you also must recognize the percentage of your industries in your area. So my office is responsible for making sure that the 31 cities understand, though I have a public-private partner called the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, they work primarily in 8 target areas. But everything else that makes this county goes, that's about the cities and the county, which is my office. And the thing that we like to harp on is the fact that small business plays a major role in economic development, because in case you didn't know it, 77,000 businesses are in Broward County.
Wow.
89% of all the businesses in Broward County are 20 employees or less. We are truly a small business community. So with that being said, the economic aspect of this office, assuring that there's small business opportunity, growth opportunities, startup business opportunities, entrepreneurial program opportunities, planning and visioning for business opportunities, working through county contracts as opportunities, and similarly, helping cities do the same. That's the role this office tries to play.
Wow. Well, thank you for that information. I did not realize that it was that many businesses, and then over 80% of them are small businesses in Broward County. So thank you for that. That really brings home the role that you play. Why is it important for businesses to become certified? And is it required to contract with the county on various opportunities?
Yeah, good question. It's certainly important for businesses to get certified as a small business. Again, if we go back to acknowledging the fact 89% of the businesses in Broward are 20 employees or less, so that means they're small business. But more important to that, the Business Opportunity Act of 2012, as amended in May of 2018, that's the county ordinance, where the county is now saying at least 25% of whatever we buy, we want to buy from certified small businesses. So again, 1,300 square miles, 31 cities. The county owns an airport, a seaport, transportation, libraries, parks and rec, county facilities, roads. We buy a lot. We don't buy everything, but we buy a lot. But if the ordinance says that the county wants to procure at least 25% from certified small businesses, then that would behoove any business in Broward that if they meet the eligibility criteria, bare minimum, no different than the market industry, they want to at least consider making Broward one of their clients. Again, you don't have to, but if you provide a good material, a service, or product that the county currently buys, and if you can get certified for free, if you can become a county vendor for free, if we can help you to navigate how to understand bids, see bids, and get information on bids before bids ever come out for free, if we can introduce you to contracting opportunities 6 months or a year in advance for free, then it really doesn't cost you nothing to potentially grow your business. So you want to come get certified. And again, you can be a county vendor in 10 minutes for free. And that means you just get notified when a bid comes out. But you should then definitely pay attention based on your product, your service, your good. If the county's really procuring it on a regular basis, I would have to ask the question, why not get certified?
Right. No, I agree, and I will say that we're proud. My firm, we're proud CBE, DBE, ACDBE, SBE certified firm with Broward County, and I love the fact that you guys do really keep us informed. I mean, so engaged, so informed. The information that you send out on a weekly basis, and I don't know if you want to touch on that, is just so much information, but really good information for you to sort through and see where the opportunities are. So I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's extremely important. And that's what's key. It's one thing to get certified. It's one thing for a government to admit through an ordinance that we want to do things with small businesses. And there's one thing to make sure that that information is available. That's one thing. But if you're serious, and that means as an agency and as a county, and if you're serious, that means as an entrepreneur or a business, you want to completely connect those dots. Why let a county have an ordinance that says at least 25%? Why have a program announce the contracts and the bids that you're eligible for? Why have a program extend the invitation for you to meet the user agency and or prime contractors to work with? And then you as a business not connect the dots. So we send out information on a weekly basis to remind our small businesses about 3 P's. Learn and know the program. Understand what it is to be a CBE, SBE. Understand what we mean when we say CBE Gold, CBE Reserve, Shelter Market Reserve. Then understand the process. What's up with BidSync? What's up with Sandy's Wednesday night newsletter? How do I find out about past bids? How do I take a look competitively at other businesses like mine? What is it that I do better than them? What is it that they do better than me? And then after process, take the invitation to meet the people from this office to purchasing to my user agencies, and more importantly, to these prime contractors. When we are sending out information, it's not just trying to kill your email. We're trying to make sure that you understand that if you heard, as a good example, we just did the annual contracting opportunities meeting on October the 1st. So 9 of the county agencies came and spoke about projects for 2021 and 2022. So if you just heard about projects that are coming out in 2021 2022. You can follow our newsletter that we send you once a week. You can follow the website of that agency. You can see the notification when I tell you I'm reviewing that project. You can see the notification when I tell you I'm setting a goal for that project. All of this happened, and I sent you notifications. This is posted on my website daily, and you never saw the bid. So by the time the bid comes out, you're ready for the bid. I often tell folks, if you see the bid on BitSync, which is now called Periscope, if you see the bid there, you're already late. It's the official portal where you get the official county information. But if you really knew the program and the process that the small business program is doing, you'll have that information that you need to put yourself in a competitive position before a bid ever comes out. So you're waiting to respond. You're not waiting for a bid to learn. You're waiting for a bid to respond. So we send out that newsletter, and we have an ongoing calendar and a resource guide on our website every single day where you can get this information.
Okay, awesome. And what's the website so we can put it in the comments?
Broward.org/econdev. That's short for economic development. Broward.org/econdev. And you can get information on the program, all of the programs. You can get information on how to become a county vendor. You get the information on how to get certified. You have access to the calendar that will even walk you through the certification process. We even lead you to a YouTube video that if you don't want my face and voice, someone will walk you through how to fill out the application. And then that same website tells you about all the upcoming workshops and events that we host to make sure that you know before a bid ever comes out what it is you need to know and where you need to be to put yourself in position to be competitive. And I always have to say that. I could never lie to any business and say, oh man, I guarantee you're going to win.
Right.
I'm not purchasing. And purchasing got no business guaranteeing. But
Right.
what I can assure a small business, I'll give you information that advantages you. If you're willing to connect that dot, you are in a good position to be competitive. And if you went into business, that's all you want. You want a shot to be competitive. You want that fair, equitable opportunity. And you don't mind when someone says, hey, small guys, we're going to reserve it so you only bid against each other. That's our program. So understand we can give you information that can aid you as you begin to follow those bids. And that's what we pass out in terms of, as you mentioned, these emails, the newsletter.
Absolutely. So we have a question coming in before I move on to our next question. Is there someone in your office that assists with the application and the paperwork to get certified? Or do you have outside firms that you can recommend or other agencies that you can recommend?
So I can't recommend other firms, but there are other agencies, county partners, who also aid and walk small businesses through the application process. But to the first part of the question, the answer is yes. In addition to the video, in addition to one of the calendar days when we say technical assistance for your certification application, you see that on the calendar, you can call the office. We're still in this virtual piece. We're still in this COVID activity. You can call the office. And any questions you may have had when you started going through that application, you can ask us. But again, to make that real simple, we do actual sessions where these days virtually, you can be at home or at your office with the application. And our virtual sessions or technical assistance training, we will walk you through every single line of the application and entertain any question you got. When you finish that training session with us, all you have to do is go get your backup documentation and send your application through. We actually started this 2 years ago, and the Black Chamber was the first group who coordinated with us, and actually it was their suggestion, and they brought a group of their members into a room. I actually brought my staff, and we used a big screen. We went through every single line of the application to make sure that every potential applicant knew what every question was, what the definitions were, and what was expected of them. We now do that same thing virtual. So on the website, you'll see the calendar of that next meeting. But even without that meeting, if someone had tried to walk through it themselves and they just wanted to ask a question, you can call here and speak to any small business specialist and get your questions answered.
Awesome. Now, all these acronyms, SBE, CBE, DBE, ACDBE, and then of course some of the other agencies have MBE, WBE.
Yeah, it's fun.
All the BEs. Tell us about your BEs.
Yeah. Hey, I might have to frame that. Wait a minute. I know you in marketing advertising, but hey, that sounded good. I might have to frame that one. So I actually, each year for the American Contract Compliance Association, I teach a course, and it's called Alphabet Soup. And it's everything from HubZone to 8A to MBE to WOSB to SVOB. But for my BEs, SBE is my sheltered market program, small business enterprise. It's the smallest of our small businesses. It's the idea when that business is just getting started. We reserve contractual opportunities, $250,000 or less, exclusively for my SBEs. So on that same website, someone can see not only the definition, but all the eligibilities for SBE, small business enterprise. Then we got CBE, county business enterprise. That's the largest of our two local programs. And this is really about a business for everything the county procures at $250,000 or more. We primarily set goals. That convention center project, a $1 billion project with a B. We had planned to make sure that at least 30% of what they do is done with my CBEs, county business enterprise. But the other part about the CBEs, we also do reserves. I might have a facility or project that's like 5 or 6 million. And I got 5 or 6 small businesses that can meet all of the criteria, or at least multiple CBEs that can meet all the criteria. So instead of giving that project to a major firm with a goal, we take that CBE and we do a CBE reserve. And that means only the CBEs can go after it and win. So the small business enterprise, the county business enterprise is our local program. But because we spend money that belongs to the Department of Transportation, because we got the transit system for transportation and buses, and we got aviation and that airport, whenever they spend money, we then have to follow the federal program 49 CFR, which is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, DBE, or for those activities you see inside the airport. Airport concessions, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And anytime Department of Transportation money is being spent, we have to use their methodology, the federal program, to identify DBEs and ACDBEs to participate. The thing I like to remind all of my small businesses when they come to me local, if you happen to be a minority or a woman, and you come to me about local participation, I'm going to certify you for Broward's program, but I'm going to encourage them to get certified through us for the federal program. So that's the DBE and the ACDBE. And those are the programs that Broward administers on behalf of the federal and the local program, SBE and CBE.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that clarification. And you kind of went through, I'm certified now, what happens. And I think what I really want you to highlight is the importance of being proactive as a vendor, as a certified vendor. And then what about, and I think you've done this well, but I just want you to talk about it a little bit more because everybody hasn't witnessed it like I have. And I know you just had one with different agencies, but how important is it to, as a certified business, to build relationships with the various departments? Because I do understand that it's the department that has the need who then goes to procurement, who then procures the services. So how important is it to build relationships with departments, and how important is it to be just proactive in general?
Yeah, so I'm talking about how important it is with the departments, because I also want to remove some misnomers or remove some less than factual information. We all get it. In private industry, seriously, I could take you to dinner. I could probably send you the best bottle of scotch. And as a friend with a smile, you might give me a contract. Government, that's not supposed to happen. Government is strictly supposed to be about transparency in the bid. Do people have relationships? Yes. Should you forge relationships? Yes. Should you nurture relationships? Yes. Do you need relationships over process? No. In government contracting, I want to know the process. In government contracting, I want to know the ordinance. That's the law. In government processing, I want to know from process to the ordinance to your protocol. If I know that, I may have never needed to meet the transportation director, but he or she gonna end up knowing who I am, because through the bid process, I not only download and respond, I participate in the Q&A. From the presentation perspective, if it's an RFP, I'm gonna make sure once eligible or deemed qualified, my presentation leaves a message. And more importantly, if I'm ever fortunate enough to win a contract, I'm going to complete that contract on time, on budget, with quality work, where they'll be asking me my name. So what I often tell my small businesses in terms of relationships, yes, that's why it's one of my P's: program, process, people. Definitely identify the people you need to know, but also understand in government, there's this thing called ethics. I do have some agencies who will not meet with one individual business, and they're protected. Why? Because they have no business saying something to you that they don't say to everyone. So they have to be extremely careful. I got other agencies similar to those who did the workshop. They're comfortable having that dialogue back and forth. They're comfortable with you reading their website, then contacting someone in the agency with a question. But it's not a requirement. So for the county, I want to be crystal clear. I have some agencies that appreciate, will embrace, and support that nurturing of a relationship. And I have others who want you just to follow the process. So I think it's important for the program and the process that that's what you follow. If the opportunity presents itself to meet the people who are supposed to be administering the program and the process, then that's helpful. But it's not a requirement. I wouldn't want someone to say, well, I never got to meet the transportation director, so I'm never going to win a contract. Not true. Not true. Because 9 times out of 10, transportation director is not on the evaluation committee anyway. Correct. Buying him that bottle of scotch you just spent and wasted your money. You better off knowing the process and the rules, so that anytime you want to call foul, you do it by the rules. So again, even knowing that, we still try to put the right people, as we did October 1st, in front of my small businesses, because I don't want to scare people to think that they have to operate blindly. We are real people here with the county, and even through transparency, we have information to share. So that's what I would say in that regard. But the key is really knowing and using the information to prepare yourself, as we said earlier, before a bid ever comes out. I mean, and as a real quick example, we got this thing going on called surtax. Surtax is getting ready to be with us for the next 28 years. That's everything that we do with this penny, even with COVID slowing the dollar amounts, is still being collected. This dedicated penny was estimated to provide $355 million a year, every year for 30 years. We're in the second year. We now officially know $130 million has been approved for cities to spend right now on infrastructure improvements. This money can only be spent transportation operation, transportation services, infrastructure throughout the 31 cities, and the future of rail. I'm using this as an example because this is how a small business must dot the I's and cross their T's. Since July of 2019, we've been telling you about surtax projects coming up. This year, we told you which ones were proposed by the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO, for the Oversight Board and the Commission to consider. Since May, we told you which ones were actually approved by the Oversight Board. In June, we told you which ones were approved by the Commission. In September, we told you that the money has been allocated for those projects. So if you just followed us, you now know there's approximately $126 million of city infrastructure projects that are going to go to the street. They ain't with the bid yet. But if you're paying attention to our workshops on our website, I went one step further. I took each city and I told you every project I've already reviewed. I told you what the goal is for every project. I told you what the scope of service they're going to be looking for that project. My next workshop, I'm going to tell you when that project is going to come out for bid. So think of everything we just did and the bids never came out. So knowing the process, understanding the program, and being willing to map your own strategy, then businesses who are relevant to these type projects got all this information before the project even came out. I'm even telling them for the city who's going to do their own procurement, what portal the cities are going to use and who to register with the cities. If I had all of that, I don't want to be shocked the second week of November to see a bid come out from multiple cities and say, oh, wow, when did this happen? You've been hearing about that since July of 2019. So that's our point about understanding process and using all the things we do, all the tools we have to your advantage. But that does take a strategic plan to say, I'm going to trail. You don't need to trail everything. Small businesses ain't got enough staff, but you have to identify those things which look like you, sound like you, and you got to make those work.
Absolutely. No, that's, you just dropped so many good nuggets. I want to ask you, and I know you're not procurement and you don't really sit on the selection committees, but for those who want to know, like what is first with the bid, what does a good bid package look like? And then what are some of the keys to success for bidding and then fulfilling the contracts?
The best answer for that, you're right. I'm not purchasing, but I'm going to take it all the way back to something you heard years ago. When you buy a box, especially when parents used to buy all those Christmas gifts, first thing they say, read all the instructions. If you want to understand bidding, read the solicitation first. Trust me when I tell you, everything you need to know is in the solicitation. And what's not in the solicitation is in the code that tells you during the Q&A, come ask those 1 or 2 questions. So my thing is for folks for purchasing. Understand that every bid is not an RFP. And that's what I have to remind folks. Sometimes it's really a fill in the blank. Sometimes it's know your industry and tell me what your prices are. Sometimes you have to understand the difference between square foot and linear square foot because that's your industry. But the reality is most bids are just that. Fill in the blank and give me your numbers. All of the rest of the precursor is you knowing who you are. When were you incorporated? What's the services of your goods? What type of services do you provide? Where do you provide it? Where have you historically provided? Give me some of your legal information. Give me some of your, all of that template, 70%, you're going to use the same time over and over. But bids are mostly hard bids. RFPs is where you have to put a little bit of more oomph into what you're doing, but it should not shock you because that response for proposal is allowing you to tell the county how you can meet this requirement and succeed in delivering it. And then you at the end, throw in your numbers. That still would be negotiated. So the RFP might be a tad bit more reading, but it should be even easier than a hard bid because the thing I always tell businesses, you got to know your industry. You have to know what you do. You have to know what your competitors do. You have to know what you do better than your competitors and what they do better than you. You must know your industry. So if you know you and your industry, you can complete a bid document, especially an RFP. So the thing that I would say is first and foremost, even before you contract someone to do it, and we got some quality folks in the region who could certainly help you in your bids and in your RFPs. Even before you do that, read a solicitation A through Z and look at it and make that attempt. I actually tell my small businesses, do one before one you ever really went after so you can just familiarize yourself with the system.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is, I will say, as someone who I wrote 2 last month and I just saw another 2 come out. Someone sent to me today from some different agencies. And some of them I just have to, let pass because it's just a lot, because it is a lot of hours, a lot of time. So I do want people to understand that putting these bids together requires you to pay a lot of attention to detail. But just being even organized, if you're going to continuously bid on contracts, you have to be super organized and have everything in order so you can plug and play those things that repeat. So give me a quick stat. I know Mayor Honus throws out some stats on where the program has been into where it is today. Can you share with us how what you've accomplished with your program?
We're actually ready for the commission at the end of the calendar year. I mean, we're excited about the fact that There's over 713 certified small businesses. But we've actually increased. I got here in 2013. I think the mayor said he got here a couple of years before me. We've actually increased what used to be participation of 11% to, with this at least 25. We're hovering over 34%.
Wow.
We're hovering over 34% actual participation and attainment. That's what we need to be real clear about. It's not just about a goal, an aspirational goal. The ideal is that how much small businesses are really participating. Right now, we're chiming over 34% small business participation. And the exciting thing is we have more room. We're going to be using all of what has happened due to COVID. All county projects like Surtax, the Convention Center, the port, and the airport, all dollars that are already here in the bank, we're going to use that to stabilize our economy and re-jump business opportunities for our small businesses and primes to get back re-engaged. So we want folks to know, might have 713 certified firms. Purchasing might record over 33,000 vendors in our system. But since the county, minus COVID, normally procures about $1 billion of goods and services every year, that means at least 250 million ought to be going to small businesses in different industries. And I'm telling you, I only got 713 certified firms in multiple industries. That'll tell everybody there's room to participate. When I start talking about 31 city infrastructure dollars and everybody wants to improve roads in their cities, and I might only have 11 asphalt firms, and everywhere there's a 30% goal minimum, my 11 is getting ready to eat. But that industry has room for more. So in terms of the opportunities, they're here. And in terms of the number of businesses, we got room to grow. And again, competitively grow with folks participating. I'll leave you with the fact that I don't want to grow 713 certified firms into 1,200 and be glad I've increased it by 500. I want to make sure that even if I have 1,000 firms, I need 60% participating on a regular. We'll figure out the other 40. But I got to grow to make sure 40% is winning. Because if I ever want 40% to become 50, it's going to happen because those who aren't winning are going to start taking lessons from those who are. I'm more concerned about small businesses getting paid than getting certified. So I don't ever have 3,000 certified. Again, 77,000 businesses in Broward, 10% of that is 7,700. Divide that could be another 3,800. So that's what I should be around, but I'm fine. If I end up with 1,000 and 60% are participating regularly and 40% are winning contracts, I'm growing my community. I'm more concerned about small businesses making money than having a whole bunch of businesses in a directory.
No, I love that. And I just want you to add too, because I think oftentimes small businesses, they do participate, they do get some contracts, but it's not always enough for them to now get to that next threshold to the point where, you know, they can now compete as a prime contractor. So do you guys have any programs in place to help elevate the SBE to the CBE and the CBE to a prime?
Yeah, and internally, you'll be hearing the buzzword reserve more because we understand CBE is like 90-95% subcontracting. Somebody won 30%, won 3 million, 30% of that, which is 900,000, got to be with small businesses. That's cute. I need to get to a point where at the end of the day, I can take that 3 million and I can reserve it so a CBE can win it. And if a CBE can do a $3 million contract, they'll grow to do a $6 million. They'll grow to do a $9 million. Might graduate from my program, but at least they're in a position now to compete with the prime contractors as they're now a prime contractor. So we do have workshops that we deal with in terms of scaling up. Sometimes it's just about understanding the next contract and understanding from a staffing perspective how you need to grow the business and use that to propel you into larger contracts. Again, sometimes it's really just about revisiting what you're currently doing and getting out of your comfort zone and helping you to begin to attract larger projects. Because at the end of the day, anyone who's doing one of my libraries, congratulations on that contract. But you can do 4 libraries. Take the model you have with one Let's make sure we identify the access to capital for additional materials and supplies and equipment, as well as immediate dollars for payroll. And the same successful model you've done with one library, now do it with two. You actually begin to save money as you make money because you begin to buy your supplies in a larger volume to now share versus these single hits. So again, we want businesses to understand, don't be content with winning a contract. If that's your entry, I'm down with you. But that has to be your entry with a plan to scale up. If you got one contract, I need you to get 3. You got 3, I need you to get 5. You get 5, I need you to get 2. That's twice the amount of the 5 you used to have. Then we'll start talking about volume. So we do one-on-one consults with these. We encourage folks to take a look at our entrepreneurship program because it's not just the entrepreneurs. We do the other one, listening to your business. I want to pay attention to what you did those first 3 to 5 years. And I want to make sure we can create a plan with you that you are better in the next 3 to 5 years. So we actually are intentional about not just getting you in, not just developing you, but how can I help you to scale? And where we are with surtax coming out of this COVID, this is about scaling. These are growth opportunities that our businesses have in front of them right now.
I love it. I love it. So I know we're short on time, so I want you to leave with our audience your best piece of advice and golden nugget. I know you've given tons today already.
And again, thank you, Anne-Marie, for having me, and thank Legacy for doing this on a regular with the leaders around the county and around the region. It's extremely important. But I think the nugget I'll leave you with today, I actually used it last night in the newsletter because it's so real. And even in this time of virtual, and we've now started doing virtual networking, virtual happy hours, and folks are still finding ways to mingle and commingle. I'm not against it. But if you are a business, and if you are about growing your business, at some point, your network has to translate to net worth.
Right.
You got to make it work for you. So when it comes to Broward County, the information, the networking we do for you and with you, all the information we disseminate and we share, just don't join my workshops just for the sake of doing my workshops. Make that information turn into net worth. You know, challenge us. And like I said, we got some good examples that I'm going to use next year. Folks who since last summer been trailing the surtax, who've never had a county contract, who use all the networking events and workshops to their advantage, who are now winning and posturing and positioning themselves to win even more. That's the best example. So that nugget is, yes, please continue to network. But you need to be smart enough to recognize that your network has to result in net worth or stop all that chit-chatting. That would be my nugget.
I love that golden nugget, especially the end, or stop all that chit-chatting. Well, thank you so much again, Sandy, for joining us today. This was such a great conversation. I know we could go on for another hour with just the wealth of knowledge that you have and all of the great programs that you have over at Broward County. And let's just get that website one more time on how people can find out more information about not just getting certified, but about your programs, upcoming opportunities, and more.
Broward.org/econdev. That's short for economic development. Broward.org/econdev, or call and email us to start an appointment with me or any of my specialists. 954-357-6400.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And just stay with us for one more minute.
Okay.
We're just going to make a couple of quick announcements. So our next issue for Legacy Magazine South Florida and MIA will be published on October 26th. So please look out for that. If you're in the Miami-Dade area, it will be published through the Miami Herald. And if you're in the Broward Palm Beach area, it will be published through the Sun Sentinel. And if you can't reach either, wherever you are, you can always download and review the publication at miamediagroup.com. And, next week we'll have another special guest with us. Thank you again, Sandy, for taking this time and giving us, really, I feel like this is our exclusive with you because I know you don't do this really often. So thank you for taking your time out to do that. Please, everyone, save the date. Every Thursday, we're right back here. Make sure you share. This is so much good information. There's no reason why no one should go ahead and visit that website today. Start the process of getting certified. If you're a small business, start with the SBE, but hey, I don't say limit yourself. Go ahead and get SBE, CBE, DBE, and ACDBE certified. If you have all your paperwork in order, just go ahead and do all of the certifications and start the process today. Anything else you want to add, Sandy?
Nope, that'll be it.
Okay.
Once again.
All right. Well, tune in again and join us next Thursday at noon.